It was just past 9 p.m. on a breezy fall evening when Claire wrapped her long coat tighter around her waist and stepped out of the bookstore where she worked. The sun had long since vanished behind the skyline, and the streets had taken on that quiet, eerie stillness cities often have when the day ends and the night begins. Her phone buzzed softly in her bag, but she ignored it. She was tired. Her mind was full. All she wanted was to get home, eat something simple, and sleep. Claire wasn't one to be easily shaken, but something about that night unsettled her. The air felt off. Not cold or stormy, just heavy, as if holding its breath. The normally bustling avenue had thinned to just a few shadows stretching across pavement. She adjusted the strap of her bag and walked faster. She passed the alley near Thompson Street, the one she always avoided at night. But this time, she felt a presence. She didn't see anyone, but a cold ripple traced her spine. Then she heard it. Footsteps. Not close, but not distant either. She turned around casually, trying to mask her anxiety. A man was walking about 20 feet behind her. Hood up. Broad shoulders. Slow steps. Deliberate. Claire picked up her pace. So did he. She crossed the street. He crossed too. That's when fear began curling in her chest. Claire wasn't the kind of person who panicked easily. But her instincts screamed at her. Every sound felt louder. The echo of their steps, the wind brushing the leaves, even her heartbeat pounding in her ears. She slipped her hand into her coat pocket where she kept her small keychain pepper spray. Her fingers clenched it so tightly her knuckles turned white. Suddenly, she turned down a side street, one she normally avoided because of how poorly lit it was. She hoped he'd keep going. But he followed. Claire's breath caught in her throat. He was closer now. She could hear the crunch of gravel under his boots. Her throat tightened. Her feet moved faster. Almost running. Then it happened. He called out. "Hey!" She froze. And in the next heartbeat, he was right behind her, his hand grabbing her wrist. Claire whipped around, fear flooding her system, adrenaline exploding like fireworks. Her scream caught in her throat. Then he leaned in and whispered, not menacingly, but urgently, almost desperately. "Keep walking. Don't stop. Please just trust me. You're not safe." She blinked, confused. Heart racing. "What?" He gently let go of her wrist, but stepped beside her and continued walking like nothing happened. "Walk. Please. I'll explain in a second." She hesitated, torn between running and obeying. But something about his tone stopped her. It wasn't threatening. It was terrified. She started walking, side by side with the stranger, every fiber of her body screaming for answers. "What do you mean I'm not safe?" He glanced sideways, just once. "Two men. Behind that dumpster. Been watching you since the bookstore. I saw them signal each other when you passed. They followed for 3 blocks." Claire's eyes widened. "What?" "They're not random. I think they're trafficking spotters. I saw them tail another girl last week. She disappeared." Claire felt like the air had been knocked out of her lungs. "You saw them? Why didn't you call the police?" "I tried. Nobody came in time. So now I follow. I try to warn people. Help them get to safety." Claire's brain was spinning. She didn't know whether to trust him. He could be lying. He could be the real danger. But then she dared a glance behind. 2 silhouettes. Walking in step. Eyes fixed ahead. She clutched her bag tightly. "Okay, so what now?" "Bus station. 3 blocks. Always busy. Security there. Cameras. If we get there, you'll be safe." They walked briskly, not running, just enough to avoid drawing attention. Claire could barely breathe. Everything felt surreal. She didn't know who this man was or why he was helping her. But something about the fear in his eyes, it wasn't fake. It wasn't staged. He was scared too. They turned the corner. The bus station was in sight. Lit brightly. People were waiting. A police car was parked across the street. But suddenly, Claire's phone rang. She glanced at it. Blocked number. "Don't answer it," the man whispered sharply. "Why?" "They use spoof calls. Fake emergencies. To distract." Claire's hands were trembling. Her legs felt numb. But somehow, they kept moving. They reached the bus station. She was flooded with relief. The two shadows were still following, but now, seeing the patrol car, they suddenly turned and vanished into a side alley. Claire collapsed onto a bench, her heart hammering. The man stood nearby, watching. Not at her. But around. Always scanning. "You okay?" She nodded slowly, still dazed. "Who are you?" He hesitated. "Name's Mark. I used to work security. Lost my job during the pandemic. Now I work nights at a delivery hub nearby. I saw too much. Things people don't want to see." "Why do you do this?" "Because no one else is. I can't save them all, but maybe, just maybe, one less girl vanishes if I'm around." Claire stared at him. He looked exhausted. His jacket was worn, his boots dirty, his hands rough. He didn't look like a hero. But he was one. Can I do something to thank you?" "Just, get home safe. And tell someone. Tell people what happened. It matters." With that, Mark started to turn away. "Wait," Claire called after him. "Can I at least buy you a coffee?" He smiled softly. A tired, sad smile. "Maybe another night. Stay safe." And with that, he disappeared into the shadows again. That night, Claire barely slept. Her mind replayed everything. She researched. She found recent reports of abductions in the area. She filed a report with the police. She told her co-workers. Her manager installed brighter lights and security cameras. But most of all, she started a blog to raise awareness, to tell the story Mark told her to tell. A week later, she went back to the bus station with 2 coffees, hoping to see him. But he never showed up. She left a note on the bench. "Thank you, Mark. You saved me." Months passed. Claire's story spread. A local news channel picked it up. Women in the city began reporting suspicious activity more often. One night, security footage caught 2 men being arrested behind the same alley. The officers said they'd been watching the area after reports came in. Claire's voice had made a difference. But Mark? He never came forward. No interviews. No rewards. No recognition. He just vanished. Until one day, nearly a year later, Claire received a letter in her mailbox. It wasn't signed. No return address. It just said, "You did it. You spoke up. Thank you. I'm watching still. You're not alone." She smiled through tears. Because even in a world that sometimes feels dark and cruel, there are people like Mark. People who don't wait for the world to change. They change it. One act of courage at a time. And sometimes, what looks like danger is actually protection in disguise. So next time fear grips your heart, listen closely. You never know who might be whispering, "Keep walking,